Most men spend years trying to impress women with the wrong things. But the men who truly capture a woman's attention often use something far simpler. 3 words that quietly change how she feels about them. Here's the strange part. These words aren't flashy. They're not lines from a movie. They don't sound like some clever pickup trick. Yet when a mature, emotionally aware man says them at the right moment, something shifts inside a woman's mind. Because attraction isn't built on noise, it's built on how someone makes you feel in the quiet moments. Many men believe attraction comes from confidence, money, looks, or status. Those things might open a door, but they rarely create emotional gravity. What actually pulls people closer is psychological safety. And this is where older men often have an advantage without even realizing it. Younger men tend to talk to impress. They try to prove something. They chase approval. But men who have lived longer, experienced heartbreak, and learned from mistakes often communicate differently. Their words slow down, their presence changes, and sometimes they say 3 simple words that make a woman feel deeply understood. The first word is "I see." Not "I know," not "I told you," just "I see." When a woman is explaining something emotional, maybe frustration about work, confusion in her life, or even something small that bothered her during the day, most men jump straight into fixing the problem. But that's not what she's always searching for. Often she wants to feel recognized, acknowledged. When a man pauses, listens carefully, and says, "I see," something powerful happens. Those words signal attention. They tell her she's not talking to someone waiting for his turn to speak. She's talking to someone who is actually present. Psychology studies consistently show that emotional validation builds deeper trust than quick solutions. And trust is the invisible bridge that leads to attraction. Because when someone feels emotionally safe, their guard slowly drops. Now notice something important. The power of these words doesn't come from the words themselves. It comes from the energy behind them. If a man says, "I see," while staring at his phone, it means nothing. But if he looks at her calmly, listens fully, and then quietly says, "I see," those words land differently. It tells her something rare in today's world. You matter enough for me to slow down. And that is surprisingly magnetic. Older men sometimes do this naturally because life teaches patience. They've learned that people don't want constant correction. They want connection. And when a woman feels seen instead of judged, attraction begins to grow quietly beneath the surface. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. Because the rarest feeling in modern dating isn't excitement, it's understanding. And the men who create that feeling often become unforgettable. There's a moment in almost every conversation where attraction either grows or quietly disappears. Most people never notice it. But women feel it instantly. It's the moment when vulnerability appears. Maybe she shares something personal. Maybe she talks about a difficult experience, a dream she's unsure about, or a fear she doesn't normally say out loud. And the man across from her responds in one of 2 ways. He either changes the subject, makes a joke, or tries to appear strong by avoiding the emotion completely. Or he says 3 words that reveal a different kind of strength. I understand that. Those words carry more psychological weight than most men realize. Because when a woman shares something meaningful, she's not only sharing information, she's revealing a piece of her emotional world. And when someone responds with understanding instead of dismissal, it creates emotional resonance. Think about how rare that actually is. Most people are waiting to talk about themselves. Most people are distracted. Most people rush conversations. But when someone pauses and says, "I understand that," the energy shifts. It tells her that her experience wasn't ignored, it was received. And emotionally intelligent women are extremely sensitive to this difference. Older men often use these words naturally because they've learned a quiet truth about relationships. You don't build connection by winning conversations. You build it by understanding people. When a man constantly tries to prove he's right, conversations become competitions. But when he focuses on understanding instead, conversations become bridges. And attraction grows strongest on bridges, not battlefields. This doesn't mean agreeing with everything someone says. It means acknowledging their perspective. For example, Imagine she says she feels overwhelmed balancing work and personal life. A dismissive response might sound like, "Everyone is busy. You'll figure it out." But a man who understands emotional intelligence might say, "I understand that. That sounds like a lot to carry." See the difference? The second response doesn't try to control her feelings. It simply respects them. And respect is one of the most powerful emotional triggers in attraction. Women don't just notice how a man treats them. They notice how he handles emotions. Does he shut them down? Or does he create space for them? Because the ability to hold emotional space signals maturity. It tells her she's talking to someone who isn't threatened by feelings. Someone grounded, someone stable. And stability is incredibly attractive, especially to women who have experienced relationships filled with emotional chaos. But there's something even deeper happening here. When a man shows understanding, it activates a psychological principle called emotional mirroring. People feel naturally drawn toward those who understand their inner world. It's the same reason close friendships form so quickly. When two people feel heard, understanding builds familiarity. Familiarity builds comfort, and comfort slowly transforms into attraction, not through manipulation, but through genuine human connection. The men who master this aren't the loudest men in the room. They're the ones who listen with intention. Because attention is the rarest currency in modern relationships, and when someone gives it freely, it feels unforgettable. There is one moment that quietly defines whether attraction deepens or fades away. It happens when uncertainty appears. Maybe she hesitates about something in her life. Maybe she doubts her ability to succeed, or questions a decision she's been struggling with. In that moment, a man's response reveals more about him than any impressive story ever could. And the men who naturally create attraction often say 3 words that carry quiet confidence. You've got this. Simple, calm, but psychologically powerful. Here's why. When someone shares a doubt, most people react in extremes. Some dismiss the concern completely. Others overwhelm the moment with long advice or lectures. But encouragement delivered with calm certainty creates something deeper. Belief. When a man looks at a woman and says, "You've got this," he's communicating trust in her strength. He's not trying to control her choices. He's not positioning himself as the hero who must solve everything. Instead, he becomes something far more attractive, a steady presence. Psychologically, encouragement activates something called the confidence reflection effect. When someone we respect believes in us, our own confidence tends to rise, and people naturally feel drawn toward those who amplify their inner strength. Older men often do this better because they've learned that leadership in relationships isn't about dominance. It's about emotional steadiness. They've seen enough life to know that everyone faces moments of doubt. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer someone isn't advice, it's belief. Think about the difference between someone who constantly points out your weaknesses and someone who reminds you of your strength. One drains energy, the other multiplies it. And people gravitate toward energy that strengthens them. This is why encouragement feels deeply attractive, because it creates emotional momentum. When a woman feels that a man sees her potential clearly, something subtle happens. Her guard softens, not because she needs validation, but because she feels respected as a capable person. And respect, again, is a foundation of lasting attraction. Now notice something important. The phrase "you've got this" works because it's confident without being controlling. It doesn't say "do exactly what I think." It says, "I trust your ability to figure this out." That distinction matters. Emotionally mature women don't want someone to dominate their decisions. They want someone who believes in their strength while standing beside them. That's the difference between insecurity and confidence. Insecure people try to control. Confident people support. And when support is delivered with calm certainty, it creates emotional gravity. People start to feel safe around that energy, comfortable, drawn closer. Because in a world full of criticism, doubt, and noise, the rarest voice is the one that quietly says, "I believe in you." And the men who naturally create that feeling often become the ones people remember long after the conversation ends. Not because they were loud, but because they made someone feel stronger. If you step back and look closely, something fascinating begins to appear. The words that create real attraction are rarely complicated. They're simple, but they come from emotional awareness most people never develop. I see, I understand, you've got this. 3 phrases, 3 moments of connection. And together, they reveal something deeper about human psychology. People are drawn toward those who make them feel safe, understood, and encouraged, not manipulated, not pressured, just respected. That's why many older men develop a quiet advantage in dating and relationships. Life forces you to learn things you can't study in a book. Heartbreak teaches patience. Failure teaches humility. Experience teaches empathy. And empathy changes how you speak to people. Instead of trying to impress someone, you start trying to understand them. Instead of dominating conversations, you become comfortable with silence. Instead of rushing connection, you allow it to grow naturally. Ironically, that relaxed energy often becomes more attractive than any strategy. Because people feel authenticity immediately, and authenticity is magnetic. But here's the truth, very few people talk about. These words only work when they are real. If someone says them as a technique while secretly being distracted, impatient, or insincere, the emotional signal doesn't match the words, and people feel that mismatch instantly. True attraction isn't created by memorizing phrases. It's created by becoming the kind of person who naturally thinks this way. Someone who listens deeply, someone who respects emotions, someone who encourages strength instead of competing with it. When those qualities exist inside you, the words come naturally, and that's when they carry real power. Because the most attractive quality in any human being isn't perfection, it's presence. Being fully there, fully aware, fully engaged with the person in front of you. In a world where attention is constantly pulled in 1,000 directions, presence feels rare, and rare things always stand out. The men and women who master this aren't trying to control attraction. They simply understand people. They know that behind every conversation is a human being hoping to feel seen, heard, and respected. And when you create those feelings consistently, connection follows. Not instantly, not magically, but naturally. Now I'm curious about something. Which of these 3 phrases do you think creates the strongest emotional impact in a conversation? I see, I understand, or you've got this. Tell me in the comments. And if this video gave you a new way to understand attraction and human psychology, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend who might need to hear this message today. Sometimes the smallest words create the deepest connections.